Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to It's All Black and White TV, and this is the transfer show where we're going to have a look at rumours and of where we can improve as well in the squad in the January window within reason. Before we get into that, if you do like what you see, please do smash the like. It does help the channel up the search, so do smash that like. Thank you very much. Also, if you're brand new at the channel, come and smash the subscribe. Come be part of this great community we have here, and also hitting that bell notification tells you when I'm live, have a pre-record or any upcoming shows. So I'm 15 subscribers away now from hitting 1100. And if you want to make a donation, you can do that in chat by clicking the $sign. And if you want to become a member, it's 99p. And you can do that by clicking the join button also as well. Still waiting for Roly. I think he's given some relatives a lift or something and he's running a bit late. So maybe he's stuck in traffic, maybe for the sales. I did put out a video earlier on today. I don't know if anybody's watched it or not. If you haven't, do have a look at it later on at your leisure. I do apologise. There is a lot of swearing in it, but I think things have to be said in that respect as well. Right, let's get into some comments here and see what's being said. Holly's first in. Hi, Holly. She says, I think if we sign a few players, it'll be a massive impact to our squad depth. Yeah, but it's got to be quality as well, we've got to sign them. We need to sign those players that can take us to that next level. BT says, good afternoon, all. Good afternoon to you, mate. Hope you're well. Andrew says, Rolly's doing his hair. Brian, hi mate, hope you're well. He says, we can actually sign players now, just can't play them till January. Yeah, absolutely. But even if we brought De Gea in now, surely we can play him on the 1st January because he's actually a free agent, isn't he? So, BT says we need to access who will be available to play after all the injuries, then access who we want to let go, not only in January, but in the summer. Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. Afternoon, Tony and Uncle Roly. Good afternoon to you, Bia. Hope you're well. Andrew said, I know one thing. If we haven't got prepared early for this window and mad dash at last minute, I'd question why big time. Well, yeah, Andrew, and this is the thing. This is what Eddie Howe said yesterday, and this is what concerned me yesterday when he turned around and he said, look, yes, we've got players coming back from injury, but he says, I think it'll probably be towards the end of the window when we do the shopping. And I'm thinking, why? You do it at the beginning of a window, not at the end of the window. By the end of the window, we might not get nobody in then. Then we're stuffed. Tony? Yeah, absolutely fine, mate. BT says, on a different note, I cannot understand that you can see my comments, but NUFC matters can't. Bit strange that. Yeah, I can see your comments clearly, mate. Absolutely. So I don't know what's going on there. Ian says, afternoon, Tony. Good afternoon to you, mate. Hope you're well. Mad Max says, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all well and had a brilliant Christmas. Good afternoon, mate. Yeah, we've had a great Christmas, haven't we? Apart from the result yesterday. Uncle Rod's Anfield, great guy, yes. Big up at bro, and good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, my friend. I hope you're well. Hi, Tony and Roly, says Trolls. Good afternoon to you, Trolls. Tad rough yesterday. Yeah, absolutely it was. Hi, Tony. Hope you had a good Christmas, says Martin from the Mancunian Way. Great guy is Martin. Yeah, I had a great Christmas. Thank you very much indeed, mate. Absolutely. I think Eddie's comments about the window is what he has to say to the camera. Maybe, Bia, maybe. I hope so. I really do hope so because, look, we've got to get some players in. Honestly, we do. I'd say it's more of an FFP, FSR thing. Better deals at the end of January, and also you may have sold people. Yeah, could be, Martin. Could be. But obviously we do need to start getting some players in at the beginning of January as well. Can't go through January on what we've got at the moment. We need to add to this squad as well. So as I say, I'm still waiting for Roly to come in as well. And right, okay then. So yeah, January is going to be a big month. We need to bring that quality in. We definitely need a number six. We definitely need a number six in January. That is for sure. Look, we should have got one in the summer. In my opinion, should have come in, but the problem is we didn't bring that number six in, and that is the problem. We didn't bring that number six in the summer, which we should have done. So, look, we know there's been names banded about of who we want to bring in, and who could come in and be a decent defensive midfielder for us. And, that's the thing, that there's plenty of players out there who could do that job. I mean, look, I think in the summer we maybe missed out on Alvarez, who went to he went off to West Ham, and I thought he's a decent player, Eston Alvarez, but we missed out on him. But there's one player whose name keeps popping up in the January window, and it's this man here. So here we go. And it's Calvin Phillips of Man City, and now I've got Martin in the chat as well. So Calvin Phillips is the one that's being touted about at the moment. Eddie Howe doesn't want to say too much on the thing. Now then, with Calvin Phillips, the only thing is, and I agree with what Martin said the other day from the Mancunian way, is it's all right saying going for Phillips, but are we going to just take him on a straight loan? Or will Man City want an option to buy? And Man City may well want us to have an option to buy him, which means we'll have to agree some sort of fee with Man City. But we do seem to get on well with Man City as a club, because obviously owners are from not the same country, but that same region in the Middle East. So look, Calvin Phillips would definitely sort our DM problem out. We do need that defensive midfielder. The games like against AC Milan, we could have done with a DM there. Somebody who's going to help marshal the back four as well. So we know he hasn't played a lot of games. We know he's had injuries and that. But again, it could be he's one of these players that if he moves to another club, he'll want to prove himself. Not only will he want to prove himself for the club that he'd be at on loan, but he'd also want to make sure he's in that team for the Euros in the summer, in that squad. Because that's going to be a huge summer in Germany for England. And it could be one that England go out and win that tournament, with the likes of Kane and Bellingham being on fire as they are at the moment. So he'll want to be part of that squad. I mean, I haven't got a problem with him coming in on loan. And even if it is an option to buy and say after so many games or whatever, it's got to be triggered, then yeah, that's fair enough. But then if we look at him and we think maybe he's not doing what we want him to do, then okay, you pull him back and you don't play him in as many games, so you don't have to trigger that clause. So there is ways around it. Look, there probably is better DMs out there, but this is one that's coming to light at the moment. I'll go into some comments and then I'll come to Roly as well, because Roly's just actually joined us as well. So I'll see what the comments have to say as well. Troll says, my big fear for the January window is that we go for mediocre players when we need more quality. Exactly. We've got to start getting quality in. Sai says, desperately need a DM. There's no protection for the back four. Absolutely, Sai. And that's what I'm saying. I think in the summer we missed a massive trick. Edson Alvarez went to West Ham United. I think he's a terrific DM and we should have had him all day long. Andrew says, when do all these so-called big sponsorships kick in? Well, Adidas kicks in from the summer, and obviously we're just trying to get other sponsorships through the door. Troll says, it seems that our players think the season's over and there's nothing to play for. That's what it looks like to me, to be honest. Trolls, they shouldn't be thinking that way. Look, not only have we got a big game on Monday away at Anfield, which we're all dreading in all honesty. Everybody's looking at that and saying we're going to get an absolute tonking of Liverpool. Let's hope Eddie Howe sticks to what he says yesterday, and he does actually have the balls to do it instead of, let's hope he does do what he said yesterday when he said, look, players don't have credit in the bank. So I want to see Eddie Howe kick the likes of Almiron out the team on Monday. I don't want to see him playing on that pitch on Monday night. I don't want to see his name on the team sheet apart from the subs bench. I want to see burn out that team on Monday night as well. You know, and I want to see Longstaff taken out as well because he's well off the pace at the moment. I know he's just come back from injury, but Longstaff needs taken out that team. J7 gets that spot for me ahead of Longstaff all day long. So I want to see Eddie show his ruthless streak and start doing it and stop picking his favourites, because this is what's going to be Eddie Howe's downfall, picking his favourites. When a man's picking favourites, it does cost them their jobs. We have seen this in the past with other clubs and other even countries as well as managers. So, look, it doesn't work picking your favourites. So hopefully Eddie sticks to what he says yesterday. BT says, when is the number 6 going to play? Who will be left out the team? What formation are we going to play, as we currently play a 4-3-3? That is a very good question, BT. But again, this is where Eddie Howe needs to start having these plan Bs. And, you know, it's great having the plan A, but when there's no plan B, it doesn't work.
Oh, that's it.
Sai says, I wouldn't go for Calvin Phillips. He's not played in a long time. We need someone to hit the ground running. I'd try and loan Ruben Neves as he's currently playing. Again, Neves, yes, that's another one that we could possibly go for. But again, you know, the Saudi League's up and running. They don't want to start losing these players to us, and it might not happen getting Neves. And that might have just been something Dan Ashworth done just to deliberately put the cat amongst the pigeons of the Premier League and see how much they were going to scramble to have a vote. And exactly what they did, they played right into Ashworth's hands. It was clever work from Mr. Ashworth, that was. Longstaff would be a great squad player, says Trolls. I agree, Trolls, I agree. We need a right winger. Yeah, we're going to come on to a right winger Newcastle stand. Not to Calvin Phillips, we need better quality, says BT. Martin says he's just had a baby as well in the last 48 hours, so straight loan won't help him or us, but he and us will loan with a fee agreed. Juventus, Liverpool, Tottenham and Fulham all like him as well. And he goes on to say, congratulations to Calvin Phillips and his family. Yeah, congratulations on him becoming the father. I think Howe meant the subs don't have credit in the bank, says Trolls. Well, I don't buy that, because at the end of the day, how are these players going to get in the team? I mean, look, one of our best players in the team has been dropped twice in this weekend, Livramento. Why? What's going on there, Eddie Howe? Why are you dropping him? You know, questions are starting to be asked of Eddie Howe, and rightly so, and he's got to start answering these questions, because, as I said in my video this morning, my rant, look, I'm being honest as I am about Dan Burn. The fucking Titanic turns quicker than fucking Dan Burn does. I'm sorry, but it does. Dan Burn yesterday was outstripped, outpaced by Anthony Elanga. It was clever management from Nuno yesterday to switch sides with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, because he knew Elanga would rip Burn to bits. And Eddie Howe should have saw that at half-time and hauled Burn off and said, look, I made a tactical change. I'm going to stick Livramento on because Elanga's given you a hell of a time out there. But no, Eddie Howe decides to keep Burn on. And then by the time he makes a change, we're 3-1 down, and Lionel Messi scored fucking hat-trick against us, you know, because that's what Chris Wood looked like yesterday, Lionel Messi. As I say, those 2 goals that he scored in the second half, if Lionel Messi scored those, they'll be going on that for days. Because it's Chris Wood, they probably won't do, you know. We never saw Chris Wood that good at St James's Park for us. He scored only 1 goal for us, and that was a penalty. But, you know, I mean, Roly, hi anyway. Yesterday, come on, Roly. You be honest as well. Dan Burn, should he have been hauled out for half time? Because I think he should have. He was too fucking slow, in my opinion. Far too slow.
I mean, there's a good argument for making the change at half time. He was getting roasted. But to be fair to Eddie and to Dan Burn, that since he's been playing left back for us, that's the first time that someone's taken the piss out of him for a full 45 minutes. I can't think of another game where he's been roasted like that.
I've seen a couple of games where he's been ripped off for pace, but I think since he's come back from that injury...
Not consistently.
I think Yeah, but since he's come back from this injury, I think he's lost some pace.
Yeah, I agree. And he did get roasted, but again, it's not say hindsight is 2020, as they say. And even when has been up against pacey wingers, he may get stripped the first couple of minutes, but then he's been so good that his lack of pace has been compensated by his positioning. That didn't happen yesterday. Probably could have taken him off earlier. That's a good argument for that because he was getting roasted. But as a unit, we didn't defend well. And they were catching us on the break every time that we went forward. I'd just like to take issue about having no plan B. He has got a plan B, it just didn't work because he made the changes quite early in putting Isak in. That's like wide Wilson. He changed it, but it didn't work. This game with Luton, he made changes early, but it didn't work. He's got a plan B. Whether it works or not, it's a different matter. I think that there's a whole number of factors coming into the performance. Obviously, the guys playing week in, week out. Sorry, 3 games a week since October hasn't helped. The injuries haven't helped. But when you saw them coming off at half time, you could see the frustration in their faces, in that they know they're playing badly, and they're just frustrated that they just can't seem to get it there. And then you get this. As I say, winning's a habit, so is losing. When you start getting to that losing run, you need something to just kick you out of it. And it's though it's not a massive losing run, it's building up. So there's a bit of confidence there as well. And because we've only got players starting to come back, we're only just able to rotate. And I think that in some cases, it's been protecting the players that have come back so they don't re-injure themselves. Which is probably more why he's left the introduction of Joe Linton so late, because this is his first game back when he's been available since injury. And I think he'd rather have not played him, but the situation meant that he did. So there are a multitude of factors that come in there. I mean, I for one never believe that players down tools and give up. They're competitive beasts. They want to win, but sometimes it gets so difficult when you're a bit down on your confidence. When you make a mistake, which every player does, you then become more conservative and you don't play your normal game because you're worried about making another mistake. So you make another mistake, and then you make another mistake, and then your confidence drops. And I think that we're in that sort of area at the moment where if we go to Anfield and get a result, I'm not saying a win, or even a good performance, that will be a bit of a lift because
Do you think
off at the moment?
Yeah, do you think though, Roly, right? If we go to Anfield, do you think we should maybe play? Look, we know it's going to be a hard place to go to Anfield. Yeah. It's going to be tough. They are on fire at the moment, Liverpool, especially Salah. Look, Burn needs to be taken out that lineup because Salah and Burn, I'll tell you now, Salah's going to roast them every time. Do we play a sort of weekend team and rest a lot of the players for the Sunderland game? Because I'll tell you now, the Sunderland game is coming up very, very soon, and a week on Saturday. Now then, if you rest a few players and keep them back for the Sunderland game, because if we go into that Sunderland game, and if we got beat off Sunderland, we won't hear the last of that from them Mackhams down the road. We will not hear the last of it, Roly. It will be blasted everywhere. And, I think we can go there and stuff the Mackhams, if I'm honest, Dean. I can still see we can do that because I'd love to smash them to bits. It's not going to be the type of football where we can go in there and play our normal attacking football because derby matches are totally different to a normal game. A derby match is more blood, sweat and tears sort of thing. Good old-fashioned tackles will go flying in on these games. But the thing is, though, we do need to make changes on Monday. Eddie Howe said some players haven't got credit in the bank. Well, I hope he sticks by his decisions, and I hope he does see what he's going to do, and I hope we do see some changes on Monday. I mean, Billy F says there, what do you think about Eddie keep using Miggy on the left as an inverted winger when it clearly don't work? Where it's on the right, he uses him an inverted winger, but I've always said Miggy's better on the left, and we saw that against all. And I've said this for about just over a year about Miggy. Keep to play Miggy left-hand side. I've always wanted him on the left. Now, against Man United at Old Trafford in the Carabao Cup, Miggy played on the left and was absolutely fantastic that night.
No, Man United were poor.
But Man U were poor. But that's not the point. The point is Miggy played better. But Miggy at the moment is absolutely dog shite. And I'm going to be honest about this. He needs taken out the team completely. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you drop him and he doesn't get back in that team. He sits on the bench because he's not good enough. He's not good enough. Last season, he had his own goal of the month competition. Now, when you're a player and your game is so high up, you should go out there the next season and say, right, I'm going to replicate what I've done, but I want to be even better than what I was last season. And he hasn't. He's gone the total opposite. He's gone downhill. Now, if we got a decent right winger in, if we can get a decent right winger in the club, I would maybe sell him because I would rather keep Murphy over Almiron, if I'm honest with you, and sell Almiron to somewhere like Spain or Portugal because that will suit him down to the ground. That sort of football, or France even. Belgium's too good for him, but obviously France, Portugal, or Spain. Look, but what I am saying is Miggy's got to come out of that team. I mean, I put a lineup yesterday, and a lot of people agreed with me and said, actually, not a bad lineup, because I had Livramento playing at right wing rather than Miggy, and I had Joe Linton playing at left wing rather than Gordon to give Gordon a break. And a lot of people said that was a pretty good lineup. But obviously Eddie doesn't go that way. But then again, Eddie doesn't go that way. He goes with Miggy. And Miggy was poor because it was Miggy's fault that they equalised. And it is Miggy's fault they equalised because what the hell was he doing in that box? Why didn't he shoot? If he shoots, they probably don't get that equaliser and we go in 1-0 up. But no, Miggy trying to be Miggy. Oh, I'll try and pass the ball and put it straight there, defender. He then passes it to Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White onto Elanga. Elanga takes Burn apart, gets in the box, a nice simple cross. Because I don't know what Dubravka was trying to do. Simple cross past Dubravka into the feet of Wood and into the feet of Wood, and then bang, Wood's got the easiest chance ever. But also, it's not the fact of Wood having the easy chance. Wood made that chance for himself by losing Cher because Cher was marking him, and Wood just sort of turned on him, and Cher sort of went forward, and he just totally lost Wood. So it was clever play by Wood, by the way. And he had the easiest of tap-ins that he's probably ever going to get. And it just had to be Chris Wood who scored. But not just once, not twice, but 3 times, And I think it's probably the first hat-trick he's ever scored.
Goals were superb. They really were good. And it was all down to him. It wasn't a good ball in. It's the dragging it round Dubravka, who I don't see how you can fault Dubravka for the opening goal because he's got to guard the near post and it's for the defenders to cut out the cross. He had no chance in either. It was just great play by Chris Wood on the other two. My analysis on Miggy, I think the game yesterday sums up Miggy's form this season. Works hard. He's a workhorse, but when it comes to the box,
it's not enough.
Let me finish. When he gets to the box, the attacking third, his decision-making is woeful. He passes when he should shoot, and he shoots when he should pass. I think he's one of the ones he's mentally tired from all the games that have been played. And I think the reason why he's not being dropped is, firstly, Livramento has been playing fullback most of the time when he's been playing. and there is no one that can play there because Murphy's injured. You're saying, oh, your team had Livramento up in Miggy's position for that game. I would have had him at left back, where he got the pace against pace. I think Livramento starts in place of Burn at Anfield, which means that you're still going to end up, unless you move Anthony Gordon to the right, play Joel Linton up top on the left, and have the same midfield, Miggy will start. Because if you look at the pace of Salah and the way that Dan Burn was yesterday, you've got to have Livramento starting at left back. So it's... I think one of the problems we've got as a fan base is we did so well last season, and we're so far ahead of schedule now that we've dropped back to probably where we were expecting to be last season, or maybe this season. If we hadn't had last season, everyone's panicking. We're still in touch with the European places. We're getting players back. We've got the January window. There's no need to panic now. I don't see any reason to. Once we start to get but it's the end of January. We should be getting the likes of Barnes. Willett might be back, which would be great to get Willett back. Murphy's going to be getting close. I think he's February, so then we're going to be able to rotate more. We should be able to start rotating now a bit more.
Yeah, hang on, Roly. No need to panic, but hang on. If Brighton beat Spurs at the Amex tonight, we go 9th. And Bournemouth are 4 points behind us. No need to panic. Yeah. There's a lot of reason to panic.
There's no reason to panic. We've still got, 20 games to go?
I mean, Lucas says there, look, he says, hi, Lucas, by the way, mate. And yeah, he says, look, you need a striker. What do you think of Newcastle's expectations this season? Do you want top 4? Do you know what, Luca? I would love top 4, but what I am going to say now is we ain't going to get in the top 4 this season. No chance. As far as I'm concerned, if we finish top 7, if we finish in 7th place, I'll take that because it's European football. But getting in the top 4, I think my chances are gone on that, I'm afraid. I think they are. Man City will take apart Everton tonight at Goodison Park. They'll rip Everton a new one tonight. They actually will take Everton to the cleaners. Look, we're 10 points behind Villa. So, look, I can't see us getting in that top 4. I really can't.
It's unlikely. But Europe is well in our grasp, and if we can arrest this form and start winning games and build momentum, there's no it's too early to say that we definitely won't get top 4. I don't expect us to, but if we manage to turn this form around and get on a run, it then becomes a possibility, because the teams at the top are beating each other, and it's very competitive this season. I was the same when we had all these injuries. I said, I just want to be in touch with the European places come January where we are. Whether we're 9th, if we go down to 9th, we'll still only be a point or something out of the 7th place. So it's not like we're going to be sort of like a million miles away. That's why I say don't panic. And if we can if we have a good January in the window, and we hit some form after the window closes, because that's the business end of the season. That's when you need to really hit your form, start racking up the wins. It's what Manchester City do when they win titles. It's what Manchester United used to do. You remember that how many times were Manchester United and Man City 12 points behind the top of the league leaders at Christmas, and still won the league? Nothing's decided now. That's why you don't panic. We need to arrest this form and start putting some wins up. I think a decent performance against Liverpool and maybe scrape a draw would be an excellent result for us. Then it makes it easier to play the next games. The last thing we want to do is to go into Anfield and get mullered. That's the confidence thing. But we're slowly starting to get players back. we will be able to make some rotations. There's some players that we've got quite a few players that are out of form. The ones that we need to keep playing. We need to play themselves into form. I mean, there were a few bright sparks on yesterday. I thought that Lewis Miley played really well. I thought Isak looked good. I thought for 60 minutes, I thought Gordon looked good. Then he tired. But in the main, it was a little lackluster. I mean, Bruno was okay. Wasn't great, but he was battling them. But towards the end, yeah, you can see that red mist coming down, because I think he's one of these players that when he gets frustrated, he loses it. And you could see he was starting to lose it at the end there because he wants to win so much. I think we're in the season can go one or two ways from here. Have a good January in the window, pick up a few. We've got a really tough schedule in January. Once we get through that, the fixtures technically are easier. So if we can pick up some points in January and then crack on for the rest of the season, we played most of the big team. We played three of the teams in the top six, and then we only have to play a few others. So we should be able to get some form, rack up those wins, and make a fist and have a fight to get into the top four. I'm not saying we will, but again, it's a matter of strengthening players back and turning the form around, and that's something that Eddie and Dan have to sort out.
Yeah, right. Getting back to transfers. Right, we've had Dubravka in goal. He had a good game against Luton. Let's be honest, he did. Yesterday, I thought he was poor.
You thought he was poor?
Well, he looks indecisive when to come out for stuff. He comes out and then he goes back, and then he comes out and then he's sort of caught in no man's land.
It was good yesterday.
I thought he could have spread himself maybe better for Wood's got 2 goals. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I thought that's just good play.
I don't think he was that. I'm sorry, Roly. I don't think he was that great. And look,
we're going to have to disagree on that one.
Macy last year said to me on the channel, she's a Man United fan. She said, I'm so pleased you've took Dubravka back because he's crap. And that's coming from a Man United fan. Yeah. Now then, look, I'm sorry. I think Dubravka's had it. He's done now as far as I'm concerned. It's time to upgrade Dubravka now. Really now. We need to. Yes, he had a great game against Luton. He kept the score down. We could have got beat in that game, and that's no exaggeration. We could have lost that game 4-0 if it wasn't for Dubravka, because he had to pull off some great saves in that game, and we know he did. But I don't think he was that great yesterday, if I'm honest. I don't think it might be the fact, does he trust the defence in front of him? I don't know. That is the thing, Roly. That's what I'm wondering. Is that why when he comes out, he seems to get caught in no man's land? Is he not sure? Remember, Botman's not long just come back from an injury. Yeah. Sharon Botman looked like they didn't know each other yesterday. Yeah. And we know Trippier's had a few mistakes in him recently. And obviously, you can't blame Trippier for it. I mean, he played on side for Chris Wood, but you can't blame Trippier for that. You can't say that's down to a mistake. That's just because Chris Wood was clever in bending his run. That's why it was clever play from Chris Wood. So, and that's what all good strikers do. You know, they can beat the offside trap. But I think we do need to definitely upgrade on Martin Dubravka. And the one keeper that we need to definitely get, and he's on a free transfer, get him in, and that's David De Gea. Get him in now and get him ready to start in January for us. Because, look, I know people keep saying this guy's wages are expensive, but remember, there's no transfer fee to pay for him. So even if it cost us $6 million till the end of the season for having David De Gea, he could be the difference in helping us up in the top 6 maybe, or, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's a quality goalkeeper. Yes, we know he's had mistakes in him in the past with Man United. We've seen it. But Man U kept faith with him. I think Man U probably made an error letting him go in the summer, if I'm honest. I don't think Onana's that great. Yes, Onana seems to pull off this amazing save that you think, how the hell's he pulled that save off? And then the next time he'll make an absolute howler and you're laughing at Onana, you know. But De Gea kept 18 clean sheets last season. for Man United. And, you know, and he won the Golden Glove. So I would say on a short-term deal, definitely bring him in. It's not a bad transfer. And as I say, you're not paying a transfer fee out, so it's not really going to cost you and hit your FFP too much. If I come to you, Roly, I'm just going to go into the chat and see what other people say as well. Because I think there'll be people who will probably agree with me on this one. Andrew says, if we lose the Mackens, I'll do more than panic. Brian says, some of our fans on Twitter are like Baldrick. Meanwhile, I'm Edmund Blackadder in the trenches saying, wake up. Absolutely, Brian. Exactly the same situation for Brighton. They've been as poor as us in the league. Yeah, they have had a poor season, let's be honest, but they've done well in the Europa League, mind. It's hard to play catch-up in the Prem, just saying, says Trolls. Andrew says, we're doomed. Alan says, top 6, we've just got beat from the bottom teams.
Well, Liverpool got beat by the bottom teams last season, and they made Europe.
How many points are we getting in January? Good question.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
How many goals has he conceded, Dubravka?
Well, they're not all his fault.
Not judging Dubravka on Macy. So we had him a lot longer than Manu. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, yes, he has been great for us in the past. You know, we know he's had a spell out. He's had to wait his turn to get in past Nick Pope because Nick Pope's been in superb form and you're never going to get past Nick Pope. But, look, I just don't think he just doesn't look right. He doesn't seem that his decision making just doesn't look great at all.
I disagree with you there. I agree that De Gea would be an upgrade. I have no problem bringing him in, but I think the last couple of games, I thought that I don't see where your criticism comes from.
Joel says 14 goals conceded in 9 games. Yeah. Mad Max says, I've got to say I can see slight improvements in Dubravka each run out, but them goals he's let in yesterday were an embarrassment. I can see where you're both coming from, Tony and Roly. Thanks very much, Mad Mag. At least somebody else has seen where I'm coming from on those goals he conceded as well.
The goals yesterday were an embarrassment, but that's more to do with the defence rather than Dubravka.
Well, not for two of them. Well, he was roasted on the first one, but second one, Byrne was totally outplayed by Wood. Yeah. And Byrne should know what Wood's like. That's the thing. That's what I can't understand. The players know how Wood plays. So why the hell weren't they tight on him, you know?
I'm just wondering whether... It's just a thought that came into my mind then. That
Chelsea's tabled a £200 million offer for Chris Wood.
I just wonder whether that some of the injured players that have come back early because we've been so desperate and probably could have used a little bit more time before they came on, and that's part of the reason they're struggling for form.
Yeah. Did we have a sell-on clause for Wood? I don't think so. I'm not sure. Yes, no chance with Wood's goals. Julie says, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Had to get a few bits on the shop. No worries, Julie. Nice to see you. Hope you had a good Christmas. I think Baldrick is always cunning a plan. Billy says, I'd rather try for Ramsdale. Will Arsenal allow him? That's the thing. But there again, Arsenal might look at us and think, well, actually, we're not going to compete with them this season, so they might say, yeah, you can have him. But I doubt they will, though. I doubt Arsenal would let him come to us, in all honesty. Not the way they've got Needle against us, especially bloody Arteta. To hear another overrated mank, don't want him, says Andrew. De Gea for 6 months and Georgian keeper from Valencia for the long term. Do you know what? That's not a bad shout, Si. Yeah, absolutely, because you'd probably get them cheaper in the summer than you would in January.
Oh, definitely.
That's not a bad shout.
And then you have a good competition for the first choice keeper with him and Pope.
Troll says Dubs turns 35 in a few months. Get Dubs out as soon as possible. He hesitates too much. Distribution from Dubravka is good, says Alan. Yeah, his distribution's not been too bad. I'm not going to say that. Foxy says Dubravka's an easy scapegoat for fans. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Foxy.
Yeah. When we lost Pope, we fell apart, says Trolls.
Well, it's not
I mean, I must admit, the thing with Pope is the thing you got to look at with Nick Pope is he acts like a fifth defender because
he's a sweeper keeper.
He knows what he's doing, and that's the difference for him and Dubravka. Dubravka's not that type of keeper. Lewis, thank you. He's been a member for 4 months. Thank you very much, Lewis. Predator says, as much as I dislike Dubravka, first wasn't his fault. No, it wasn't. It wasn't his fault, the first one, in all honesty. It depends on what your class of success, says the Mancunian way. Top 4 is hard to get. Like some of our fans now expect a treble this season. They forgot how special it was. Yeah, absolutely. You're probably not going to win the treble.
It's a tough league, especially this season. It's so competitive at the top. I mean, it's great.
But I bet, and I bet now Martin's in the chat, so the Mancunian way. Now, obviously, you're sitting 5th at the moment in the league. And I bet that's pressure on Pep Guardiola. And if anybody says to me, Pep Guardiola isn't feeling pressure, then they're lying, because he is. Because he'll not be happy at Man City being 5th at the moment. He wants them at the top. Pep Guardiola. It's the same with Jurgen Klopp. He would have been under pressure last season when there was things not going right against him. And that's the difference. It's how you deal with the pressure. And that's what we got to see from Eddie now, how he's going to deal with the pressure of us losing a lot of games. He's got to start changing things, and he's got to stop picking the favourites. Lewis says Dubravka was terrible. Sorry?
I mean, every manager has favourites, have players that they trust, and they will always, when things are tough, they'll go to them. It's just when that doesn't work, they've got to be brave and switch things around.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Our so-called best defence, as Andrew, fell apart like jellies yesterday, all over the place. Again, Andrew, the share and Botman understanding's not there at the moment because obviously Botman's just come back. So,
the thing that when you look at the game yesterday and then the Luton game against before that, Lascelles has actually been possibly our best centre half. He's been on a par with Scher. He's played well when he's with Botman as well, but when Scher's gone off. So, and he seems to be more of an organizer than Scher and Botman.
Yeah.
And you think, well, when they were last season, because as a team we're playing well all season, it's quite easy to have a good pairing when you're playing well. But when the chips are down, sometimes you need someone to just take it by the scruff of the necks and get everybody in order. And I think Lascelles does that better than Scher or Botman. It's strange to say that. I think we actually missed him yesterday.
Andrew says, a fact Dubs loves the Manx, he can F off as well. Julie says, I'll take to here. Last couple of games, Dubravka hasn't been that bad. And like obviously Predator says as well, the mistake was having Burn up against Elanga when he should have played Livramento from the start. That's what I'm saying. Why isn't Tino getting in that team? What's gone wrong? Miggy was shocking. Yes, he was, Julie. Absolutely. Ian says, I think Dubs has done okay. Lewis says, we've won one game in December, and that was against Fulham. Yeah, and they had 10 men. We beat Man U as well, or was that November, Julie, yeah. Joel says, I don't trust Dubs for 5 months. That's why I hope we get to here. Our away form is relegation form, so forget the top 4. We'll be lucky to get the top 8 with our form, says Andrew.
But form is temporary. We can get out of it. If our form picks up, we'll see where we end up. Europe still.
Julie says maybe a return for Chris Wood.
Well, the strikers aren't the problem.
No.
Though we have missed some really good chances. Like Wilson missed one at Luton when it was 0-0. Isak had one where he puts it half a yard to either side and he scores against Forest. So the strikers aren't the problem. It's the defence that's really been letting us down.
If it isn't a long-term replacement for Pope, says Mancunian Way, then Ramsdale won't happen. He wants to be number one. That's why he wants out of Arsenal, remember? True.
Yeah, good point.
I wouldn't be surprised if Villa challenging the league title. It'll be a nice change for once, says Julie says, how would it's Villa? Yeah, absolutely. It's Villa.
I think the thing with Villa is they're a good side. But if they get a few injuries, then they'll struggle. If they had as many injuries as we've had, they'd be nowhere near the European places.
Yeah. BT says he has been unable to find a new team. What's the problem with him? Right. I'll tell you what the problem is, BT. It goes down to his wife and family. Obviously, he had offers for Saudi Arabia, but his wife didn't want to move there, which is fair enough. That's understandable because he's got to put his wife and his family first before his football. And some of the offers I've had in Spain, I don't think they wanted to go to any of those clubs or what. I'm not sure what he said. I think what they want is more of a Premier League club to come in for them. So because I think they still live in Manchester. So look, if that's the case, then I can see it would be a good fit for us. He has already said he's open to a move to Newcastle. He's just waiting for them to get in touch with him. So look, let's hope. Lewis says, I hope we finish in the top 10, but unfortunately, I don't think we will if we don't sign anyone in January. I'm sure we'll sign in January. Ian says, we've lost our last 6 out of 7. That's not good enough. Absolutely, Ian. Totally agree.
That bit's true, but yeah, I think people are being a bit too much doom and gloom merchants.
Martin says, Pep's no pressure, trust me, Tony, but some of our fans are babies and expect the league and UCL every season. We are 2 games in Anfield and win those 3 behind the top, so no panic from me, says Martin.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I mean, Man City come alive in the new year. But once we get through January, they might not drop another point. That's what they do.
Lascelles has been incredible, and to me, injury or not, if you're standing, you've performed like Jamal standards, you have to fight to get back in the team, absolutely. Yeah. Too many half-fit players, Burn, Longstaff, Share, Botman and Trippier, although he didn't make any mistakes, doesn't seem right, says Pierre. That's the problem with players are not fit enough. And I don't know if this is down to the medical staff. When Derek Wright was there, we know Derek Wright was a terrific physio, and we missed Derek Wright immensely when he retired. I think the medical team's got to take a lot of blame for this. I'm sorry they do.
I think with you look at Burn, Longstaff, to just put that comment back up. Sorry, Tony. The last, it's Burn, Longstaff, Shah, Botman. They've all had injuries, and I think because of the number of injuries that we've had, they've had to come back into the starting lineup a lot quicker than we wanted to, which won't help them get their form. When you niggling sort of muscle injuries, you want it to be completely right before you come back. And we've had so few options that I think players have been played when they're not fully fit, and it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's going to be down to the physios and team, but I think it's more necessity has forced them into the team before they're fit. You want to try and keep. The problem we've had is because we've had so few options is that when the player is sort of fit enough to play sort of maybe 20, 30 minutes, we've had to do that rather than let them recover more because we just had no options.
Andrew says, 1 away win in half a season, that's more than temporary, Roly. It's unacceptable. Julie says, was a joke. I hate to say it, but he was very good for Forest yesterday, Chris Wood. Absolutely was. Foxy says, too many of our players are out of form at the same time, returning from injury, playing with injury. It happens. was always going to be a blip in form at some point for Howe. Yeah, it was. There was going to be a drop off this season. You could see it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point there, Foxy.
Billy says
just
we play
so many factors.
too high up the field, Roly, and we lose too many games from the counter attack.
Yeah, that's been the problem. You look at the goals for Forest. A lot of them been. Look at Milan. Both their goals, we were attacking. You look at the goals against Dortmund. We're attacking, and we get beaten on the counter.
Predator says, did I just hear Roly say strikers aren't a problem? Sorry, Roly, but we are desperate for a 15 to 20 goal a season striker.
Well, we've got two. When they're fit, we've got two. I mean, how many's Isak got? He's got about 10 now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got 10, yeah.
Yeah. So, see, that, and Wilson's got about 7. So we've got 15 to 20 goal strikers.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a try aimed at the red side because he was asking what's with the Mancate, and it's not towards City at all. It's the United side we don't like. We can't stand them. We've always hated them. It's not with City, mate. Not at all. No, not at all. We don't have a problem with City, to be fair. Striker is a must. Right, let's go into another one now. So anyway,
striker is a must because the two we've got. It's keeping them fit is an issue.
Okay, so the next position we're going to look at is now we are being heavily linked with this guy for January, and this player has a £52 million clause in his contract, which means if we activate it, we have to pay the whole 52 million out. Now, I have actually said that's not a bad idea, and the reason I say it's not a bad idea is because if you remember, when the Adidas deal starts in the summer. Obviously, they're paying 40. They're going to pay 40 million a year. So when the Adidas deal comes in, so if you're paying 52 million pound for this player, then technically it's only costing you 12 million pound because you're going to have that 40 million pound coming back in. But anyway, this is a player, and this player is a defender. He can play right back. He can play centre back. He can also play left back, so he can play anywhere across the back. Which versatility is what you need. Absolutely fantastic. 22-year-old Portuguese international. There he is. Gonçalo, right? Okay, so Gonçalo Inácio, who plays for Sporting Lisbon, 22 years of age. Obviously, they've got him rated at 31 million, but he's worth a bit more than that. But as I say, he can play right across the back, left back, right back, centre back. Ball controls his strengths. And we need a youngster in. He's 22. Because eventually Shaw's gonna lose his speed a lot, and he's gonna, because he's getting older, he's in his 30s now. So we're gonna need to replace them. Same with Lascelles as well. He's gonna be needing replaced. So look, this lad at 22 is going to be a future. I think he's a terrific centre back. He's played a lot as left back this season, looking at his stats, but he started 13 out of 14 games. He's got 1 goal, which he's not a goal scorer, so he's not expected to be like that. But on clean sheets, he's been involved in a team that's kept 5 clean sheets. His ball recoveries per game is 5.4, so that's a very good stat straight away on ball recovery. He's good at getting the ball back. His clearances are nearly 2 clearances per game. His successful dribbles are 70% every game. He wins 47% of duels every game. He wins 56% of ground duels every game. 38% in aerial duels. He does lose possession on an average of 10 a game, but any player can lose possession 10 times in a game. He's had 5 yellow cards this season. He's had 1 red card, and he's had one where he's had a second yellow card turned into a red card. So disciplinary, not a massive issue there. But a good centre back, good quality, youngster, highly rated. And do you know what? if there was a chance of getting him, I would say absolutely go all out and get him, because you've got somebody who's versatile right across the back. Roly, take it away. Gonçalo Inácio, yes or no?
Oh, that's a yes. We need the heir apparent for Fabian Schär. I mean, what a potential pairing, him and Botman together. Yeah, I mean, even if we have to pay the money up front, the way how I understand the FFP is they still look at the payments as a structured payment. So they'd split it over the 5 years of the contract that you get. So it would be £50 million, 10 million a year would go towards the FFP. The problem isn't so much the actual fee; it's the number of people that you bought and the payments that you have to make each year, or the FFP cost each year. Because when you buy a player, that goes on top of what you had last year. But obviously 3 years ago drops off. So that's where the management comes in, making sure that when you make the pay, your FFP consideration doesn't outstrip what your income is. So that's why the income is so vital, because we can afford to buy the players, but if the income isn't high enough, it becomes a problem. And Adidas deal will go a long way to help that, because basically that's the £40 million is you can get four. It's the first payment on four £40 million players.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I know that they've got another sponsor in recently. I forget who it was. It was announced about a month ago, and they'll be working.
In post.
Yeah, that's in post. Yeah, and Phoenix are sponsoring as well. So they're getting all these sponsors in. They're working really hard to get new sponsors in, so that we've got more money to cover the specific year's transfer fees. And obviously, when we sell a player, the fee for that player comes off in total.
Mm-hmm.
It's not staggered. Whereas when you buy a player, the FFP consideration is staggered. Whereas that's how Chelsea have managed to spend so much money, because they may have bought £1 billion worth of players in, was it 3 windows, but they've also sold sort of like £500 million. They've got about £500 million back in player sales. So that's why they've been able to do it. But it'll catch up with them in the end.
Yeah, but with Inácio, if didn't want to pay the whole 52 million out, you just offer them a little bit more on top, so you can pay it in installments.
Yeah.
Predator says when they are fit, it's rare. We have both fit, Roly, but how are you, mate? Neither are reliable fitness wise. So he's talking about Isak and Wilson.
Yeah. But you look at last season; both of them were injured a fair bit. Wilson got 18 goals, and Isak wasn't far behind. We do need another striker.
Andrew says Isak is weak and Wilson's finished.
I disagree with that. Isak isn't as physical as Wilson, but he still scores the goals. He's got 10 so far this season.
I agree with Julie. I thought he was better yesterday.
Yeah.
And especially when he tried that cheeky little little shot when he tried to catch the keeper out. That was brilliant.
Yeah. And I think Isak now is probably approaching full fitness. Again, here's one we had to rush back. And you just see.
If we go for a centre back in the window and don't go for a striker, how needs a stern talking to, in my opinion. Well, this is what I'm saying. We just linked. It's not saying that we are actually going to buy him in the January window. It may be we'll buy a centre back in the summer. Who knows? But it's just that we are being linked. It's a link that's come out. That's all, trolls. That's why I put it out there.
I don't think we'll go for a centre half in January with the form of Lascelles. We've got 4 serviceable centre halves. I don't see us going for one. that because Lascelles has played so well when he's played this season, the centre half, the new centre half, would be able to kick that can down the road and sort it out in the summer.
Yeah, right. The next one we're going to touch on, the next transfer targets, or whoever we are looking at. Right, we're going to look at the replacement for Miggy Almiron, because the man has to be taken out the team. He's crap, Roly. He's been shite for months. So it's embarrassing how bad he actually is, and Eddie Howe keeps playing him.
I think it's mainly because of options. A lot of the time when his forms really started to dip, we had to play.
Thing is, Roly, I don't have a problem with his work rate, Roly. I get where you're coming from on the work rate. His work rate is absolutely second to none. But work rate does not get you goals. Work rate does not get you assists.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that for a lot of the period, the recent matches, when Miggy's form really dipped, we couldn't play Livramento up that because we needed him at left back, which is why he kept his place. Because if Jacob Murphy had been fit, Almiron wouldn't have played as many games this season.
I think he would have been dropped, to be honest.
Yeah, he would have been dropped. Because we've had to employ Livramento as a left back for a fair chunk, we've got no real option to replace him. That's why he's been playing. He could have played. I mean, yesterday he could have played up there, but then obviously he came on. He had to play at left back. He's played so many games because we've had no option. He doesn't.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So as I say, the next player, Roly, we're looking at the right wing anyway. So there's a couple of players we are linked with here. One's a bit of an older link, but this one's the newer link that we link with. So I'm going to go with this one first. This is the one we've actually talked about with Foxy before in the chat. And I know Foxy likes this player, and he says he'd be a massive upgrade on Miggy Almiron. And there he is, Matthias Soulé. Now, Matthias Soulé is currently on loan from Juventus at Frosinone in Italy. Frosinone are in Serie A because they just played against Juventus at the weekend, and he actually played for them because in Italy, loanees can't play against their parent clubs. So this guy is an Argentinian. He's 20 years of age. He's left-footed, but he does play as a right winger and attacking midfield as well. He started all 15 games this season for them. He's been in Team of the Week in Serie A for three times this season, so that's no mean feat, considering he's playing for a smaller club. I gather Frosinone's a smaller club in Italy. He's got 6 goals in those 15 games, bearing in mind he's a winger. Yes, he's only got the 1 assist. But, look, he's 20 years of age. He's got room to improve. I think he looks decent, to be honest. Foxy knows a lot more about South American players than we do. But Foxy's quite impressed with this guy and says he'd be better than what Miggy is. His accurate passing per game is 81%. 86% in his own half, 75% accurate in the opposition half. His long balls are accurate by 57% per game, and his crosses are 33% per game accurate. So he's got it all there. He's got it all. As I say, he's playing for a smaller team, and he's only had 2 yellow cards all season. So, that's not bad. His temperament seems good. I mean, I've watched some clips of him, and Foxy might agree, might disagree with me, but when I look at this player, Matthias Soulé, I tell you who he reminds me of. He reminds me of a young Angel Di Maria. Now, we remember Di Maria played for Man United. He reminds me of him. He really does. And I think he's got it all. But as I say, at 20 years of age, he's got room to grow. And I think all in all, I think he would be a decent signing. Whether you see one of them as a decent signing for now or not, or the future, But I think he's pretty decent. We'll see what people say in the chat as well. You'd probably get him for about maybe 15 million, 20 million now. Depends how much Juventus want for him, in all honesty. So we'll get into some comments anyway. Andrew says, Wilson gets those goals in short bursts, injured for months, so it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. He's had his day, and I mean, Isak is weak as in physicality. That's fair enough, Andrew. Isak isn't better on the left, he's just better than Gordon on the left. Okay. I want deadly prolific striker, none of this 3-forward shit. A real striker, it lifts a squad also. Costs a lot of money though, Andrew. Other clubs could buy him still. Like Madrid, he's talking to trolls. I'll say it again. Miggy is and never been good enough. Absolutely not. No. Murphy ain't the answer and rather try Barnes, Isak, Gordon as a front three. Yeah, once we get Barnes back, that's the thing though. But no disrespect on the right wing. I think Murphy's better than Almiron at the moment. We've got Billy in the chat as well, which is absolutely fantastic. He says the point is, trolls, that Wood played when both were injured and allowed them to get fit before stepping back in. We haven't had that option since January. Absolutely, Billy. And hello, mate. I hope you're well. The release clause doesn't apply to Premier clubs, Martin, says Billy. I says ifs and buts, Roly, but ifs and buts don't win games. Miggy runs his leg off and that's it. Can't cross, makes stupid mistakes and can't see a clinical pass. Just runs, smells and wobbles his head. Now we've got to be careful here, Predator, because there is a Miggy fan club out there, you know. And but I'm with you. Smiling doesn't make you win games. Miggy's 30 in February. Why not give the under-23 player Ben Parkinson the game on the right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, if you go back to that AC Milan game when Isak wasn't able to run about, why didn't we put Ben Parkinson on? At least that's fresh legs. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he's going to go on a run and score the goal, but it's just fresh legs. Billy says, family-wise, Andrew, footy-wise, the opposite. Hope you had a good one too. If we qualify for Europe, I'd love us to get Florian Wirtz. Yeah, absolutely. He's a quality player. Game comes at a price, but yeah, I would absolutely love that. Godfather afternoon, Tony Roly in chat. Is this the Samaritans? Because that was dire performance. Look, we're no Godfather. I mean, look, I put a video out there this morning having a bit of a rant. And I think what I said was probably justified. You know, if anybody's just joining now, I put out a video this morning, had a bit of a rant. Look, in my opinion, like I say yesterday, Dan Burn is too slow. That is why Nuno had done his homework before he played us. And that's why he made the switch of putting Elanga on the right instead of playing him on the left as he normally does. Because he ripped Burn to bits with his pace. As I say, and I'll say this again, the fucking Titanic turns quicker than fucking Dan Burn does. That's for sure. But at the half-time, this is where Eddie Howe should have said, right, okay, Burn's getting ripped to bits. I'm going to withdraw him and I'm going to put Livramento on. And that's what he should have done. So, yeah, absolutely Godfather. Troll says, to be fair, Miggy has 5 goals, 1 assist, but he has been bad runner games. Yeah, he has been terrible. I mean, look, I'm not being funny. There's probably better right wingers in the Championship than what Miggy is at the moment. Andrew says he's had opportunities to use young Parkinson as cover, but you never gave him a look. Why do you think that is? I think Howe is so shit scared of the sack, so he won't risk it.
I've got a point on the young players. Is they're playing under 23, under 21 opponents. Under 23s, under 21s aren't that good. and that you want them to come in and cover in the Premier League, you have to be a special talent to be able to do that at the young age. Obviously, Lewis Miley is. But I don't think that Eddie believes that the youngsters are up to the challenge.
Billy's right what he's saying there. I reckon Mo Farah would offer us what Miggy does for the fraction of the price. You're absolutely right. He would. Because he's got pace to burn, but he does nothing. He's got no end product, has he? So, yeah, I like that one, Billy. Absolutely fantastic.
Mickey has been awful in the last few games. He really has been.
Predator says the Miggy fan club can see what they like. It's all opinion, and mine is his time is done and needs moving on. I don't disagree with you, Predator. I don't disagree.
I honestly believe that with the FFP situation we have now and had in the summer, if we were in a better situation, we would have moved him on in the summer.
Billy says, I've been calling for a couple of youngsters to be rotated in months. I could see this coming, Andrew. Exactly, Billy. This is why I said, why isn't Alex Murphy having a run in the side? Because he played well in pre-season. He's a decent defender. Roly, that doesn't make no difference. I disagree, Roly.
I just think that he's not good enough for the Premier League to have a consistent run. I think that.
How do you know if you don't try him?
I think Eddie sees him in training. If he felt he was up to the job, he'd have played him like he did with Lewis Miley. He had no qualms about bringing him on and playing him consistently because he's good enough. These guys are development players. They're still developing. You have, so my mate's a West Ham fan. Their side won the under 23 title. None of them play because they're not good. They're not ready yet. You can really you look at players that have been brought in too young and played too consistently that just they shine brightly and then just drop off the radar. You want someone like to play. You want to get them in playing when they have the ability and the confidence to do it on a consistent basis.
You're saying, Roly. So you're saying Alex Murphy's not good enough to be in that first team squad. But the thing is, he's been on the bench. He's had some minutes. What's the harm of given him a game? Why couldn't you have played against Luton Town on Saturday and you could have rested somebody on Saturday?
If you play him against in the Premier League and he gets made a mug of, that's going to affect his development. You've got to protect the young kids.
Oh, so right. I tell you what. You go and tell Jurgen Klopp then. When he plays young Kwanzaa at centre-back and he plays him in a Premier League game, are you going to tell Klopp, you shouldn't be playing him, he's too young to play in the Premier League?
I don't see the guys train. I don't know the Liverpool players, but Liverpool can do what they want.
The same with Mainu at Man United. Are you saying he's too young to play in the Premier League? Mainu, him and Lewis Miley were playing together on the same pitch,
But Lewis Miley's
and two of them,
they're good enough.
When we played Man United, the two of them, even the pundits said, them two played better than a lot of the seasoned professionals did.
Yeah, that's my whole point. They're good enough to play at that level. Obviously, Eddie and Mad Dog don't believe these guys are ready yet to play in the Premier League consistently or to the Premier League level. Maybe next season they'd have no qualms about it, but they're still developing. You can ruin the guy's development by throwing him in at the deep end, and if he struggles, that can set him back ages. You can't just say, "Oh, well, he's come on, he's played a few minutes here, he played well in pre-season." Lots of players play well in pre-season, and then it's totally different pre-season to the actual rigors of competitive competition.
Even Billy F says, "How can the youngsters prove themselves if they're not given a chance?"
They've got to prove it in training that they're actually good enough, and then they'll get the chance. They'll play some in the. I mean, you look at the League Cup games that we had, Man United and Man City. We played some of the youngsters, and they struggled. But we got through those games. So you've got to be careful how you use them. If you have senior players available, you play them. if you don't think the players are good enough, you don't play them. I just think that you've got to be good enough to play at that level. And if
I think Alex Murphy is good enough to play at that level. I do. I think Alex Murphy.
You may think that, but Eddie obviously doesn't, and he's the guy that sees him in training. I mean, he's looked good when he's played. I'm not saying that the potential is there, but whether he's got it for playing at the Premier League is a different matter. And we're not one. We can't judge that because we're not Premier League coaches, managers, or played at that level. So we can't judge it. But you've got to trust that they've seen. They pick the team and the squad on what happens in training. Now these guys are developing, and maybe these are guys that need to go out on loan and play some first-team football somewhere in a lower league. But I strongly believe that they're not being played because they don't believe they're ready to play at this level for any consistent for a full 90 minutes.
Bia says, for me, Diallo is the one to try. He looks like the best one, especially against Wrexham.
Yeah. He's looked good. Yeah. But I think that the whole point is I don't think that the quality of the under-23s is there are enough players at Premier League level yet.
Billy says, nobody's saying bring 11 kids in, Roly.
No.
It's 1 or 2, half an hour here and there. And then if they thrive, then maybe give them a game. Absolutely spot on, Billy. Well said, mate.
I mean, I wasn't saying you should bring in 11 kids, but all I'm saying is that Eddie obviously doesn't believe they're good enough at this point in time to risk. That's my opinion. Whether that's... You'd have thought that if he felt that, like Lewis Miley, he obviously felt that he's good enough because he's played him.
Do you remember all those years ago, a certain Scotsman told Alex Ferguson, you'll win nothing with kids. Ferguson proved him wrong, didn't he?
Yeah, but you see the quality of the kids that they played. And they weren't sort of like teenagers either. I mean, they were young and they were high quality and they were good enough.
They are. Joel says Murphy got subbed in at left back in the Prem and did very well. There you go.
Yeah, I know.
I rest my case.
Yeah. But that's for 20 minutes.
But still, it's 20 minutes, Roly.
Yeah, but it's 20 minutes. But my point is that I don't think that they believe that
Jake agrees with you.
To be part of the rotation. And you need to protect them. So it's
Billy says a fully fit kid has to be better than somebody who's dead on their feet.
Potentially, but it's again it's a case of how whether they're ready for this level, because it's a totally different level from what they've been playing. Though they're training with them, training and playing is a totally different thing. And it's possible that having a kid playing someone that's dead on the feet might actually be worse.
Andrew says, you never know unless you put them in. If you don't, no young'un will come to the tune, they will go elsewhere. It's the same old tune habit.
No, but we're bringing players through. It's doing it at the right time. That's the issue.
Alex Murphy's good enough to start, says Godfather.
Well,
Ben Parkinson's been on the bench. If you're good enough, you're old enough, says Billy F. Absolutely, mate.
Yeah, if you're good enough, you're old enough, but they obviously don't think they're good enough. Because Lewis Miley is a case in point. He's playing for everyone to see that he's good enough. He's playing. If the other players, or the other youngsters were anything close to where Miley is, they'd be getting games.
Fair enough, Roly, but I still see it.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to have to agree to disagree on this point.
Foxy says also, Mickey's not even a right winger. He's not. He's done brilliant overall to do what he's done over the last 2 seasons out of position, but it's a position that needs improvement with a more clinical threat. Absolutely. Billy says then maybe Eddie and his bouncer aren't good enough for a job of this magnitude in the long run. Short-termism has caused a slump in form. Do you know what, Billy? You know what? Billy will speak his mind, and Billy will
Yeah,
tell you how it is.
I know.
And I think Billy's absolutely spot on there, what he's just said. Because,
I
look,
think
I don't want
there's
people. Look,
some.
I want nothing more than Eddie Howe to succeed at this football club and bring trophies. But, and I don't want people to jump on me and shout, whoa, 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 we want Eddie out. I'm not saying that for 1 minute. All I am saying is Eddie Howe's got to grow a pair now and really go out there and say to the team, right, you, and you, not good enough. You're out, but you, and you are in. Get in that team and make sure you stay in that team by playing for the shirt and
I mean, I
keeping
agree
that
with.
shirt. And the thing is, right, and if Eddie continues to play his favourites, then I'm afraid a change will be made, Roly, because the Saudis won't mess about.
Yeah. I agree to a certain extent to what Billy's saying there. I think there's been some short-term thinking, and I think that in some cases, the longer for in the transfer window, some of the longer-term thinking hasn't helped us. No, the Saudis, they're ruthless in business, but they're also pragmatic and they have a process. So they're not prone to knee-jerk reactions. So they'll assess and then they'll say, well, "This is what we expect, and we need you to do this, put it right by X time." Whether they've got to that point yet, I don't know. But I think the other thing you've got to remember is that where we are now in the league is probably where we expected us to be last season. The fact that we made Champions League means that obviously people's expectations are higher. But when you look at the plan that they had for the club, rather than being way ahead of schedule as we were last season, we're probably back to where they thought the schedule would be. Because we did so much better last season than anybody expected. We're probably in and around the positions where we thought we should be.
Bias says the under 21s.
Because of last season, everyone thinks, "Oh, we've got to be challenging for the Champions League." No, I want to challenge for the Champions League. Don't get me wrong, but I think that the expectations are so much greater because of how well we did last season. We didn't have a blip. We didn't have the same sort of injury crisis as we've had for the last couple of months. So this is where we see these next few months will determine whether Eddie has the wherewithal to go through and rectify when things go bad. Because when you look at since the takeover, this has really been the first time that we've had a really poor run of form. I mean, really poor run of form in 18 months. Even last season, we had a bit of dodgy form over after the Carabao Cup semi-final, but it wasn't. We were still playing decent football. We weren't as bad as we are now. This is the first time we've had a run of really bad games since the takeovers happened. So you've got to be able to turn it round.
BS says the under-21s Champions League tournament was a good test for our youngsters. Several shined, many didn't. Ellis, Stanton, Sanusi, and Harris looked good. Got to agree. But that was a good test.
It's a good test, but it's not Premier League level.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's still not Premier League level, Roly, but we know that.
But it's under 21. It's under 21.
So remember the likes of PSG, AC Milan, and Dortmund probably have a better academy than what we have. To be fair,
yes, they have got a better academy than what we've got, but they're not good. They're not good enough to play it. They're playing in the under 21 tournament because they're not good enough to play in the first team in their current clubs. That's my point. It's not that the players aren't good and can't play well. It's just that it's like you look at players. Just for example, players that have been playing for years. You go and buy someone. It's happened numerous times where someone's got a player from the lower. Look at Adam Armstrong, for example. He was playing at Blackburn, cracking in goals for fun. Southampton buy him in the Premier League, and the goals dry up because the difference in level is so big. getting someone from the under 21s, under 23s into the first team, you've got an even bigger gulf. And it could be, it's maybe that they haven't built they may just not be good enough to do it on a to be considered in the rotation.
Basin says, look at what Brighton do with youngsters. Andrew says, my real point was they never even get a go, so when we could hardly put a team out with injuries. Eddie can't win, he would play the young ones and people would say, well, why are you dropping people, says Jake.
Yeah. He's in between a rock and a hard place because the form's bad and the injuries.
Bia says, I would say to Diallo, I'm giving you 30 minutes to show me what you can do. And if it's going well, then 45 minutes in the next game. Andrew says, hi kids, don't play for Roly, you'll never get a chance.
If you're good enough, you will.
I says, he puts Richie, the old age pensioner, on for 10 or 15 minutes. Why? Can't tell me one of the kids we haven't isn't better than Richie. Point said. Point.
I don't know, because I would say I don't see him in training. And Richie, I mean, you're a big proponent of giving Matt Ritchie in so he can put his crosses in and his dead ball deliveries. We know what we get with Matt Ritchie. I think 10, 15 minutes, I don't have a problem with him coming on.
Yeah, says Roly only likes the old men. He could be Everton manager.
Oh God, that's that. No.
Billy,
that is one of the biggest insults that I've received. Believe you me, I've received it.
Billy says there's never more of a right time than the past 6 weeks, Roly. Absolutely, Billy.
Maybe. But I think my thing is
mainly playing because he got his chance through injury, says Billy F.
Yeah, perfect. But let's say he's good enough, and it has been for a while. My worry is it's more in protecting the kids. I don't want to see a kid brought in absolutely bombed because he's not up to the standard. Because it's not fair on the kid. I can see what Billy's point, say with the last 6 weeks, maybe, but especially it's not so hard to do it if the team's playing well, because you then giving the youngsters the best possible opportunity to succeed, and that's what you want to do with the youngsters because they're developing. I'd hate to put in an Alex Murphy in a game and get him get absolutely roasted and then his confidence blown and it sets him back. It could set him back 12 months in his development. I can see what we were crying out for to change players, but these kids are obviously not good enough because they would have been played if they were.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah, Archer's in the chat. Good evening, Archer. Hope you're well, mate. He says, evening, lads. I think we need to sign 2 loan deals, Neves or Phillips. A centre-back for me would be Laporte. Up front, Boniface or Openda. And either Ramsdale or De Gea. Do you know what? Not bad shouts, mate. Not bad shouts at all.
Not bad shouts. But the thing that gets me, everyone's saying, like, talking about all the Saudi players that have gone to Saudi. I really don't think that the Saudi teams are going to loan any of their big stars because they're trying to build the league up. And they've got these stars in to raise their profile. So why are they going to let them go after half the season? I just really don't see it happening. It'd be nice. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have Mahrez or Neves, but I really can't see it happening because I don't think it's part of the plan for the league. And
Jake says, first time in 18 months, now there's talk of Eddie out. It's a joke. Look, I've not said Eddie out for 1 minute, Jake. I've said that to you. All I've said is, look,
I think he's talking in general, not you specifically.
I think he can have a bit of criticism towards him. We're allowed to as fans. I've supported this club since I was 10-year-old for 41 years now. And look, I've seen the great times. I've seen the bad times. I've seen the bad times in the 80s when we were a massive selling club. We were selling Model, Gascoigne, Beardsley, We had Seymour and McKee, probably just as bad as what Mike Ashley was as an owner.
No,
Look,
it's not bad.
the thing is, we're not. There is some people on Twitter who are saying Eddie out, but look, we've got to be realistic as well, Jake, and that's what I'm trying to be. And I'm trying to be realistic here, and I'm not saying Eddie out for 1 minute because, like I say, I just said earlier on, I would like nothing more than Eddie to succeed, bring us trophies, and make himself into an elite manager. But we need to start shifting some of this deadwood out the club and doing it sharpish. The likes of Matt Ritchie and Paul Dummett need to be told by Eddie Howe, I need them 2 spaces for new transfers. You're not in the team. Off you go. If we sign another keeper, say to Gillespie, off you go. That's another space opened up.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about getting rid of players like Dummett and that, it's easier said than done. You look at the difficulty we've had in shifting the likes of Hendrick and Hayden and some of the others. It's not easy to do, and I really think that they'll get players in and then tell the others to do one. But,
Billy says, there's no doubt Eddie's a victim of his own success, agreed. However, I'm not sure Europa League qualification would have changed much. Howe goes all in for every game by playing his best every game. You're absolutely spot on there, Billy.
Yeah. I agree with
right.
that. And I think
okay,
that's the problem.
Let's move on anyway to another right winger that I think, and he's a natural right winger who could come at the club and do very well for us. I know people have said in the past his injury record, but we've seen his injury record. He's had the one major injury, but a lot of the things he's had has been little one niggly injuries, but I think he's overcome them now this season. Right. And this next one has been linked with us in the past, linked with us in the summer. I think would be a very good buy and would be the ideal replacement to getting rid of Almiron out the team as well. And that is Federico Chiesa of Juventus. I like this guy. He can play anywhere across the front. He can play right, left, and up front. He started 13 out of 15 games this season. He's got 5 goals and 1 assist. So he's a little bit similar to what Soulé's got, except Soulé's got 1 more goal than him. But again, this guy's a quality player. And I don't think Juventus want a lot of money for him either. I think, they'll probably take about 30 million for him. He's 26 years of age. On his day, he's one hell of a player. And I tell you what, he'd get horses off seats at St James's Park, that's for sure. Chiesa, I do like him as a player. And again, the fact that he can play up front. So you've got another one there who you can throw up front as well if you need a striker. Roly, Federico Chiesa, yes or no?
Oh, it's a definite yes. If they can do the deal. I think that's going to be. One of the things is obviously we get linked to loads of players. We get linked to some very good players. But the problem is, can we do the deal? And that is, in this case, Juventus actually willing to sell the player. It's all good and fine. So, yeah, I definitely have him. Yeah, which I would. But can we get him? It's not so much down to the financial means. It's more to do with the selling club. You look, right, we got Botman in the end, but we wanted him in the January after the takeover. But we couldn't get the deal done with Leon. It's if we can get the deal done, I'd do it. But that I think it all depends on Juventus and Chiesa himself.
Billy says he could have played Lewis Hall a lot more too. He's a kid who's Premier League proven. Howe's played a limp and Gordon for 50 minutes last week. Why didn't he protect him and bring Hall on? Absolutely,
I can't argue with that. And I'm not going to, because Lewis Hall is one of the players that potentially could have been in the rotation, though there's been quotes that he's still struggling a bit with the system, and they're working on him to get him where they want him to be. But yeah, he could have been brought on earlier.
Goldfather says Pope is a big miss. Dubravka was not looking at Wood for one of the goals, and he was more concerned about getting hit in the face and looked away. How are you going to save that? A shot, that shot blind, pathetic.
Well, I totally disagree with that, but you're entitled to your
Roly,
opinion.
Roly's favourite is Dubravka.
No, I just don't think he's.
Can't you tell?
I think that a lot of people's opinions of him have been clouded by the fact he went to Man United. And people don't like Man United, and I understand that. But I think that he's a decent keeper. He's not the greatest keeper in the world. He's not the greatest keeper in the Premier League, but he's probably the best number 2 keeper in the league. There's an argument. You can make an argument for that.
Ronald says, not wrong with criticising Howe and the team when we've been shite, but them saying we are calling for him to be sacked is wrong in clickbait. Yes, that is GB News, a shite news channel that I've never ever watched, if I'm honest with you.
Right.
But the thing is, I think, like I said yesterday, like I said on the show last night, that was probably put out just to help fill that timeline up, because I had nothing else on that timeline. I thought, oh, look, there's a story. Newcastle, they've looked on Twitter, Newcastle fans, some of them are not happy with Eddie Howe. Right, okay, let's put out there that all Newcastle fans want Eddie Howe sacked, just to get some clickbait and just to get some,
it's going to be
just to promote that news story.
It'd be interesting to see what the Twitterverse will be like if it ends up that we go to Anfield and win. They're thinking, all these people think Eddie Howe, think, oh, he's the best manager in the world. They're so fickle at times.
Foxy says Norfolk, he has muscular problems every year, not the same player since his cruciate ligament tear, and Miggy scored the same amount as him. Dubs is 35, says Trulls letting 14 goals in 9 games. I think Karius will be better, in my opinion. Do you know what it is? If you put Karius in at Anfield on Monday, do you know what? It could have the opposite effect. Karius could go out there and have an absolute bloody blinder and stop Liverpool scoring. What a story that would be, wouldn't it? You know, if we go to Anfield and say we went there, I'm not saying we will, but say we went there and we nicked it 1-0, and Karius was man of the match because he had a world-beating performance on Monday night. Tell you what, that would ram that back down the Liverpool throats, and Klopp would be standing there gobsmacked, wouldn't he? Oh, I would love to see that. I know it wouldn't happen.
It's not going to happen.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean,
GBB's has never been right about anything, says Billy. I didn't watch it, mate, so I don't know. Goalfather says, Roly, can you save a shot looking away? No, you can't. I've been a goalkeeper, and I've never...
I didn't see him looking away when he was... the
thing is, I've played as a goalkeeper. I've played as a goalkeeper, and I've never looked away from any shot. I always come out for it. And, I remember once I had the ball hit off my face, but it went out for a corner. But I tell you what, yes, it bloody hurts, but it stopped the goal going in the back of the net. And that's the way I
didn't see him looking away. And if you're talking about the goals on yesterday, he didn't have a chance with any of them. So it doesn't matter if he's looking at it. He stood up, spread himself. Wood took it round him, which you can't really blame him. There's just you don't expect that from Chris Wood. And the other one was a flick that was outside of his arm, his hand arm span. So I think a lot of people's opinions of Dubravka is tinted by his time at Man United. Right, we've conceded a lot of goals since he's been in goal, but I can think of only 2 that have been his fault. If the defence is playing shite, you can see. I mean, you look at the times when we've got relegated under the previous owner. The goalkeepers have been man of the match, but the lot's good. Look at when we played Sheffield United. Was it Fotheringham their goalkeeper?
Yeah.
He had a worldie. He had a really good game and conceded 8 goals. He made about He made some really good saves in that game and yet conceded 8 goals. It's not all down to the goalkeeper. Some are, but most of them aren't.
Yeah, that's fair enough from Roly, but yeah. Right, okay, so next player I'm going to go into, and when I get him on screen, there we go. Now, this is another link. Jonathan David, a striker, Canadian-born striker who plays for Canada, currently plays for Lille. Now, in the past, we've had some great deals with Lille, and we seem to get on well with that club. Under the former ownership, we had Matthias Debussy coming from Lille. We had Johan Cabaye coming from Lille, the one that GFK Joe Kinnear originally called Johan Kebab because the man's a fucking idiot. That's why. So we've had a great relationship. And more recently, Sven Botman has come from Lille last season. So, look, we've had a great time with Lille. They've been absolutely fine with us. Jonathan David, now, in wages wise, wouldn't cost you a fortune. He's on £28,000 a week at Lille at the moment. So we could say treble your wages, and he's still paying under 100 grand a week for a great striker. He is a good striker. He is a 1 and 2 striker. Although his goals ratio this season, okay, he might not have scored a lot yet, but this guy is lethal in front of goal. Yes, so far this season he started 14 out of 17 games and he's only scored 5 goals and got 1 assist. But look, he is a quality striker. If I look at his stats from last season as well, he started 36 out of 37 and he got 24 goals in 37 games. And he's supposed to have a weakness with aerial duels, but his anchor play is his strengths. This guy is a great player. I really do rate this guy highly. He's 24 in January. I think Jonathan David would be ideal for us. I think he's very rarely injured. And he's a quality player. Look, you want a quality striker in there. You need a youngster. There's another young striker coming in. Same age as Isak, basically. And the thing is, Wilson isn't getting younger. Wilson's going to be 32. Now, I would say at the end of the season, if we've got this striker in January, and then see you go for another striker in the summer, say someone in the mold of, say, Marcus Leonardo, someone like that, I would say in the summer you sell Wilson because Wilson will be a saleable asset. And you could probably get about 20 million for Wilson. Not a problem at all because he's quality in the Premier League and he knows where the back of the net is. So, Roly, if we were to get Jonathan David in January, if we've got another right winger in, say, for instance, if I was Newcastle United, I would be tempted to say, right, I'll tell you what, Lille, we'll take Jonathan David, but in Part X, will you take Miggy Almiron? Who knows? Because if we've got another right winger in and we've got Murphy back, I'd rather have Murphy over Almiron any day of the week. So, look, Roly, first of all, Jonathan David, yes or no for you?
Yeah, we need another quality striker, preferably a young one, and he fits the bill. I don't know an awful lot about him. I don't know of him, but yeah, I think we need another striker because we know that Wilson and Isak will probably both get injured before the season's out again. So we need that third striker. The fee and the wages shouldn't be a problem. So it's a decent option.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's talk of a £40 million fee for him. If that's a fee, that's a bargain, in my opinion. AC Milan are also interested, but they have come out and said they can't compete financially with Newcastle United.
Yeah, we know that because they couldn't compete with us for Botman.
No, absolutely. But I would take him without a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely. See what comments are coming. Personally, I've never said Howe's the best, but he's done very well, though. Yeah, absolutely. Roly, having his Dubs tinted glasses on, I see. Joking, of course, that's trolls. You can't compare 30 to 31-year-old Dubs to today's Dubs. They are two different keepers, says Trolls.
Yeah,
Ronald says, GB News was our read until it started sucking up to Ofcom. Mark Stein was brilliant, and they asked him to pay Ofcom fines as he has after he had a heart attack. I heard a rumour we were rehearsed refusal on Chris Wood. Having a feeling Wilson will be sold in the summer. Ronald says, would Jonathan David cut it in the Premier League with them statistics this season? David Namisel. Thing is, though, he is quality. And the thing is,
he'd be part of the rotation.
That's the thing, would he? You don't know until you bring him in, would you?
And he'd be part of the rotation as well. So it's not like you're necessarily going to have to play him every week in, week out.
Foxy reckons an expensive flop. He's tried and untested, but there again, you don't know. He could come into the Premier League and hit the ground running. And there's other strikers, obviously, we have been linked with as well, like Garassi. Look, Garassi is a cracking striker, and you probably get him for 15 million quid. I think that's his release clause. But again, he'd be off to the AFCON, so you're not going to have him for about a month, are you?
Yeah, it depends how well Guinea do. I don't think Guinea are among the favourites, so it could only be a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people asking about this guy coming back. Now, Yankuba Minty. Now, look, he's doing very well for Feyenoord. We could do with a bloody right winger, in all honesty. But as I said last night, if the club go to Feyenoord and say we want to bring him back, Feyenoord would have to agree to it. But then obviously the board would then speak to Arne Slot, the manager, and Arne Slot would probably say, actually, I don't want him going back there this season. I want to keep him because he's integral to where our team is at the moment in the league. And, he's an integral part of the team. If we lose him, how can we replace him in the January window? Can we replace him with the same quality or better? And so Arne Slot would probably say, I don't want him going back. And if Feyenoord say, no, we can't do nothing because there's no recall clause. If there was a chance of bringing them back in January, would you have them, Roly?
So I don't think he'll come back in January. I think...
the question is, Roly, would you take him back in January if we had the chance, though?
If we had the chance, yeah. But I don't think we have the chance. For the reasons you explained. I don't think... because there's no pullback clause, we can't just go and get him because we can't just go and recall him. It would be nice if we could get him back, but I'm not. It's the sort of thing that, it'd be a different option to Miggy. He's playing a lot at the moment, doing well, but they say that his decision making needs work on. But he's contributing, scoring goals, getting assists. So he seems. I mean, maybe he's one that they're looking at to replace Miggy, but that's going to have to be in the summer. We want to have that.
Yeah. Toon Talk podcast, Afternoon Tony and Roly. It's me, Jack. I've just rebranded my channel. Nice one, mate, and I like the name. Brilliant, excellent, mate. Ronald says AC Milan got Connie money off us for Tonali, and I bet they still know about Tonali. I reckon they do. Foxy says Guinea will be out quickly. They have Senegal, Cameroon, and Minties Gambia in the group. There we go. Well, yeah, they're not going to beat Senegal and Cameroon because they're two great teams, aren't they? And the African and Gambia aren't too bad either. So yeah, I see what you mean. He'll probably be back within a couple of weeks. Yeah. Lee says, evening, Tony and Roly and everyone. Hope you all had a good Christmas. We played crap.
Yes,
need to sub straight away before half time. Might have been a different game. It could well have been, Lee.
I don't think so. I just think we're so out of form at the moment. I'm not sure when you look at the Luton game, we made changes after, was it 30 minutes? Things didn't improve.
Yeah.
I think.
And what does Eddie Howe do? Oh, I'll tell you what, we'll take young Miley off because it's his fault the goal went in. No, it wasn't his fault the goal went in. It was the three players in front of him who let him down as well. That allowed Andros Townsend to have the freedom. And that's in 2 games now of being stung by 2 ex-players. Unbelievable. Why does it always happen to Newcastle United that ex-players come back and always bite us in the arse when you see with other teams and they don't seem to have that problem? Always happens to Newcastle. Always has done and probably always will do. Seen it in the past, Roly, and we've seen it now.
No, that's why I'm laughing, because so many players that do that. But normally it's been really good players that we've let go. Players that are a lot better than Chris Wood, but he's obviously, that's just something about leaving Newcastle and coming to St James's Park and scoring. It's probably because they've got this thing about when they were here, that they remember the cheers and the adulation they got scoring, especially at the Gallagher end. So they want to try and recreate that, at least in their minds. So they always try harder to score against it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Lee says, our defence was as wide like the Tyne Tunnel. There was a massive hole in midfield as well. If you looked at the midfield, there was a massive hole there. That needs to be plugged up a bit as well. Because that was too much, wasn't it?
I think when you look at the gap between midfield and the defence, it's something that's creeped in this season, where last season, when one of the or 2 of the midfielders went forward, one dropped back to sort of cover. Now you look at some of the goals we conceded. All 3 have been really high up the pitch, and then there's that big goal, and the back 4 have no protection. It's something that needs working on.
I'll tell you what, though, there was one lad yesterday who I thought was very impressive for Nottingham Forest. And I'm not on about Anthony Elanga, by the way, because I thought he was brilliant. I mean, look, what a bargain they got for him for 15 million quid. I think even a 3 million for Hudson-Odoi is still a good deal as well. But this guy, Morgan Gibbs-White, what a player. I mean, look, before we even scored, he could have scored in the early stages when his shot went just past the post. This lad gives 100%, and this lad is one hell of a baller. I like him. I like him as a player. And look,
my opinion,
his stock is going to continue to rise. And if he comes really good under Nuno, then I'll tell you what, this lad's going to be playing for a top team, and I wouldn't mind him in the Newcastle team, because I rate this guy highly. I must admit,
when Forest first bought him, I didn't know much about him. I thought, God, that's a lot of money to pay for him. But they knew what they were doing, because he is a really high quality player.
It was Cooper who knew what he was doing, because Cooper had him in the under-17s team that won the World Cup alongside Freddie Woodman.
Yeah. And I think the other, what was I saying? He's been really good in the Euros, the under-21 Euros. Is probably England's second best player after Anthony Gordon.
Yeah,
he's a very high-class player.
Lee says definitely 5 players in. Let's get rid of the deadwood. Andrew says if you keep playing out of form favourites, it becomes the normal standard and breeds complacency. Absolutely. We haven't recovered from going out the UCL or Carabao Cup, in my opinion, and what ADB said as well. Says, and Foxy says, Man City signed another future star from Argentina, Claudio Echeverri. Scary with him and Alvarez playing behind Haaland. Wow. Okay. That's interesting to know. I mean, look, again, our game management isn't that great. And as I said, if you look after the Luton game, how they coped with game management, keeping the ball in the corner, that's all Mickey had to do. That's all Mickey had to do against Chelsea. Keep the ball in the corner. They don't score. Again, another error. We've got to start doing game management. We should have done that against AC Milan. If we'd done that against AC Milan, tactical fouls, Like what Isak tried to do yesterday, he tried to do a tactical foul on, I think it was Gibbs White, when he pushed him over before Forest got that second goal. But because the ref played advantage, it didn't work. But that's the sort of thing you need to do. Is AC Milan did it well against us, kept doing tactical fouls. Yes, they were getting yellow cards, but it was breaking up play. That's what it's all about. If we'd done that against AC Milan, if we didn't get through the Champions League next stage, at least we would have been in the Europa League. But instead, we went out. And, we've got to start learning game management and start learning it very, very quickly as well. Ronald says, Eddie's saying that because they haven't trained properly is dubious to me this week. We can train properly. I hope he's proven correct at Anfield. I can't see it, but football's a funny game. Do you know what, Ronald? I was concerned when he said, we haven't trained for months. I'm thinking, hang on, whoa, what are you on about?
Well, you think of the intensity we play at and the rapidity of the games, you need a recovery day, and then you have a day where you can sort of train. Then you've got the next, because we've been playing literally every 3 days, which is why we haven't done as much training as we would ordinarily have done. We're not going to have that problem going forward, because even if we get to the FA Cup final, you're still only playing 1 game a week. For the majority of the season, because the FA Cup's on weekends, so you've got that recovery time, and then you've got a good 4 days to actually train. That's why I expect to see an upturn in form, because we'll be able to rest and not have to go again with short turnarounds. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Right, guys. Well, come to the end of the show, but it's been a great show. We've had a lot of debating. Yeah, it's been some lively debating, and it's been absolutely fantastic. And that's what it's all about. You got to have a debate, and we love a good debate. And we had a look at some players as well. If you have liked what you see, please don't forget to smash that like if you haven't done so already. It does help the channel. Thank you. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, come and smash the subscribe, because we're now 15 away from 1100. Also, if you are brand new to the channel. And also hitting that bell notification tells you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming shows as well. And don't forget, you can still make a donation by hitting the $sign. And if you're a become member at any time, just click that join button. It's 99p a month. Right, let's get into some comments before we wrap up. I say it's been lively, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? Andrew says, Ronald, you can guarantee the VAR and the shite refs won't help us at Anfield. Absolutely spot on. From the vid I saw of us training, I didn't see us train passing, and I don't get that, to be honest. Yeah, great show, says Trolls. Thanks very much, mate. Ronald says, I agree. Isak's brace was legitimate. Absolutely. I find some of Eddie's interviews after games really bizarre, says Julie. I was thinking that as well. Something's not right there. Something's not right, but we'll see. Great show, guys, says Bia. Great. Thank you very much indeed, Bia Viking. Take care, Tony and Roly. You too, Trolls. Goodbye, all. Bye-bye to you as well, Julie. Most Ben team in the Prem, Ronald. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, another great show, lads. Cheers, Billy. Thanks very much. Lee says we need to give the younger players a chance if the rest of the players are not up to scratch. I do agree with that one, absolutely, mate. Great show, Tony and Roly, says Ian. Thank you very much, Ian Fleming. Good chats, smashing, super great, says Andrew. Cheers, mate, thank you. I'd test Liverpool, says Ronald as well. Absolutely, Ronald. But yeah. But as I do say, remember, the future's bright. The future is definitely black and white. It's bye-bye from me.
That's goodbye from me.
How are you, the lads?